Welcome to another Top 5 Friday, Halloween themed of course because it is October, and I want to talk about video games. Oh, that's surprising. I want to talk about horror video games. Well, that's surprising. I want to talk about horror games that you guys probably might like, some of you are really going to like, that I don't really like. The title's probably going to say overrated. Not necessarily overrated, but just games that I haven't got into for various reasons that we'll get into because, obviously I have to talk a lot. Gotta babble. And now a word from nobody!
Oh, it's Friday night. Don't know what I'm gonna do tonight. I could sit here and pick my nose while I watch a brand new video. Whoa, Top 5 Friday tonight.
Number 5 on the list is a game that's always drawn me in with its really super cool artwork. Honestly, it's one of my favorite artworks on the NES when it comes to game box, Maniac Mansion. The game itself, look, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just not a fan of this particular game style, where it's basically a point-and-click adventure. Put hamster in the microwave. I like more action-oriented stuff. That's just me. I can see though where this might be popular. I can understand why some people really get into this. If you're really getting into the story aspect of it, because it really obviously is story-driven, then yeah, I can understand why this is popular, and I understand why this is a favorite of a lot of people. In fact, I'm pretty sure this is one of Wood's favorite games of all time. But for me, I just, it comes with like a cool little manual and little poster. Got a little poster here. That's cool. See? It's not very colorful, but you win some, you lose some. Number 4! Now this game didn't come out in North America back then, ever. And that's Sweet Home. And what I'm holding here is a sweet reproduction copy. I believe this only came out in Japan. I'm not sure if it came out in Europe. It may have, it may not have. It definitely didn't come out in North America. And it's probably because Nintendo of America was like, that game is of the devil. We can't have that. It's violent and it's creepy. We don't want it here. I know a lot of people love this game. A lot of people will say it really started the whole survival horror genre. I don't know how true that is. It's just what I hear. Yeah, you take the role of basically this news crew that goes into this house that's owned by some artist dude. The first problem I have with it is I'm not a fan of those old school RPGs. I'm not a hater of RPGs. I love RPGs. Final Fantasy 2, 3 on the Super Nintendo. Final Fantasy 7. Star Ocean series I really liked. Skies of Arcadia. Not my favorite genre, but there are a lot of games that I really love in the RPG genre. And I even love turn-based RPGs. So I'm not one of these guys that's got like, my RPGs have got to be action-oriented. It's got a creepy atmosphere, for sure. One of the creepiest games on the NES, probably. Maybe even the creepiest. I'm just not a fan of the RPG gameplay. And that's just me. I hate this game, Ghosts and Goblins. It is unnecessarily difficult. And I know it's infamous for being a difficult game, but for me, it's like the worst of the worst when it comes to difficulty. It's this and Battletoads on the NES. Whatever. I've beaten difficult games. I can't get past the second stage in this one, and I've been trying for years. I always go back to this. That's the thing. I always go back to this, and I get frustrated, and then I sit it down for like a couple of years and don't touch it again. The controls are awful. The jumping is horrible. There's difficulty just because you need to get good, but there's also difficulty when you need to get good and also you're handicapped by horrible controls, and this is one of them. This is popular. A lot of people like this game, and I'm not exactly sure why. And it's been one of those games, it's caused me to not actually get into the series. The Super Ghosts and Goblins on the Super Nintendo and Ghouls and Ghosts on Genesis. I mean, I've never really gotten into those either because this one has soured my experience on the whole ghosts and goblins. That red devil. That red devil. And I know they'll AVG and think, get the knife. I know that. I get the knife and I still get my ass handed to me. So this is where I really start making people angry. Resident Evil. Now I'm going to say that I don't hate this game. I don't hate the series at all. I think they're great games. I just, for whatever reason, cannot get into them. I remember I rented this when it first came out on the PlayStation. I rented it. I just could not get into the tank controls. The tank controls threw me off, and I played it for a few hours, and I just kind of got sick of it, and I never picked it up again. But there were times where I tried to get back into the series over the years. Resident Evil 0 on the GameCube. Melvor actually rented that, and I started playing it, and I got into it a little bit. But after a day or so, I just kind of put it down and never touched it again. And that's been my I guess, the way it's gone for me throughout the years. Every time a Resident Evil is released, I try to, you know what, I'll give this one more shot. And I just don't get into it. Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5. That's the one where you're escorting that girl on the whole time. That was annoying. 6, I didn't even play. 7, I played a little bit in VR, and I just was meh, whatever. I totally understand why these games are popular. I get it. Which sucks, because I wish that I could get hyped and excited every time a new Resident Evil game comes out, but I don't. I don't at all. And maybe there's just something wrong with me. I can accept that. Maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe there is. Number 1 on my list is Doom. All of them. I don't get it. Now, I know that Doom originally came out on computers, and then it was ported to N64 and, well, everything else. You know, I actually tried playing the newest one that came out, and I couldn't get into that one either. I have a tiny bit of experience playing the original on the computer, and I really couldn't get into it either. Funny enough, it was actually at my grandfather's place. Now, this was my other grandfather who lived about an hour away from me, so I would go and visit his place, not as often as my other ones, and I would go there, and one day I was on his computer and I see Doom, and I'm like, wow, you're into Doom? He was like, yeah, I'm into Doom. He was playing Doom. Now, this was at a time where I was not even playing many games. This was right after I kind of started getting bored with the Super Nintendo, and I guess N64 was on the verge of coming out, and I just wasn't into it. That was a period of time for me where I just really wasn't playing many games. But my grandfather apparently was, and which was extremely weird, because my grandfather was not a gamer. We didn't have a Nintendo or Super Nintendo or anything over at his place. My other grandfather we did, but not at his place. So when I saw Doom on the computer, I was shocked. I was like, you play this? You play computer games? And he said, yeah. My grandfather was a drill sergeant, like an actual literal drill sergeant. That was his job. So, just the complete, not something someone you would associate with computer games. So, like, that was a side of him I had no idea even existed. It just added to the shock. I was like, he wasn't into computers. He was into guns and jets and stuff. And so I was shocked, and we sat down, we played it a little bit. He showed me how, and yeah, that was my only experience playing Doom. But that was the only time I ended up playing it. It was a fun moment because that was the only time I was actually bonded over video games with my grandfather. I was in my late teens at that time, or mid-teens, something like that. I'm not a fan of it. Like, it's okay for what it is. I guess it brought new things to the table in terms of like first-person horror game like that. But for me, it wasn't my thing, and it still isn't to this day. As I said, I tried playing the new ones, and I just couldn't get into it. It is what it is. We all like different things. We're all into different things. I guarantee you, I'm into a lot of stuff that you're probably watching thinking, I don't get it. So that's what makes gaming super cool. You have all this stuff. You can be into whatever, and you're always going to find something that you can relate to and that you can have fun with. Not everyone has to like the same thing, and that's totally cool. But anyway, I figured there'd be a few surprises on this list, and hopefully, maybe one day I can maybe give a few of these another shot. And who knows, maybe my opinions will change and I will get super addicted to them. But that's down the road. Thank you for watching. Let me hear what games that you don't necessarily like, that everyone else thinks is pretty cool. Thank you for watching.